Mexico now. We are south of the border with the United States. So we are a tiny country compared to the United States, but it's very rich in culture. And also we have one of the most, our country has many microclimates to compare, different types of food that it grows in, especially, plants and things like that. The biodiversity in Mexico is huge. So for the next one, Connie, thank you. Thank you very much. So here's a little bit more about Americas, the greenhouses of America. The first one on the top, you will see that is half of Mexico City, to Central America. That's what we call Mesoamerica, is where the corn was born. It was, land of many things like tomatoes and other things. Then you have a tiny little stretch that goes from the north of, like Venezuela and Colombia throughout, the Patagonia. And so that is what is called the Andes. So in that area, we got like potatoes and other things from that area. And then we have Brazil, and other parts of also the north part of the South America that is called the Amazon Basin. And is, place where it was born the cacao, but they didn't do anything until it reached Mexico and we got the chocolate now. So there are the three greenhouses most important in Latin America. So I guess it's good for you to know. And then we're going to Mexico now. From the central part to the south of Mexico, we have a type of cuisine that is more elaborate, where you find more moles and things like that, like more complex cuisine. From the north part of Mexico, the land is more arid. There is not much more to offer. So the people work harder to get the ingredients and things like that. So it's richer, the culture in general, in culinary culture in the south part of Mexico than in the north. But still, it diversifies and it's also a wonderful type of cuisine. So for the next one, yes. Okay, so a little bit of things, some of the places that you may have known or heard, like Puebla. Puebla is very central Mexico, and in Puebla is like the famous mole poblano. What everybody refers in the world as mole, they will think of the mole poblano, which is sweeter, kind of brownish sauce with chocolate in it, and things, but it's not only the only mole that we have in Mexico, but it's the most famous. Also, another dish is the chiles en nogada, and the rajas con crema that we're going to do today. We are using chiles poblanos, so it's also referred to this area. So the next one, yes, Oaxaca. So I used to live there. I love Oaxaca. It's beautiful. It's rich in culture, and it's one I mentioned that Mexico has a lot of biodiversity. Well, in Mexico, we have a lot of biodiversity. This is the place with more of it in the world. One of it, there are like 3 places, and this is one. So you have, things that only grow in Oaxaca because of the specific terroir and also the weather and so the different conditions to make one ingredient. So always have been the discussion between if the corn was born in, because it's going to be an important topic for later, it was born either in Puebla or in Oaxaca. So I will believe that it was in Oaxaca, obviously, for the next one. Mexico City, I was born there. It's one of the biggest and largest cities in the world. It's like 20 million or more and counting, I guess, people living there. And it's very cosmopolitan. So for the people, sometimes I'm still asked if we in Mexico are still riding donkeys and things like that. Well, definitely not. This is one of the most cosmopolitan cities. You can find restaurants in Mexico City or stores that you can only find in London, Paris, and New York. So it's very cosmopolitan, but we are also a land of controversies that, we have the poverty on one side and the very richest people on the other side. Michoacan, this is central north, and Michoacan is very rich in culture as well. So this is the cathedral there. And they have a different cuisine that is very indigenous too. It's surrounded by lakes, which is the name of Michoacan comes from. And it has a wonderful cuisine. The best cream I ever tasted in my life is from Michoacan, by the way. For the next. And Monterrey, this is in the north part of Mexico. So more arid, as you can see the landscape, but also, it's very industrial. So the people work really hard, and they have always been, and it's very rich in money mostly, but they have ingredients like the cabrito is very from that area. And also wonderful tortillas, the flour tortillas will be prevalent in the north, as well as the pinto beans or what we call frijoles bayos. So we have also that difference between the north and the south. And Veracruz, this is on the coast of Mexico, the Gulf of Mexico, and it's also very rich in culture, obviously based mostly on seafood and all those things, but also delicious combinations because it was the entrance of the European, the Manila galleons through Veracruz. So a lot of the people use a lot of olive oil and things like that you can maybe not think about that in Mexico. Well, that is what happens in Veracruz. And Yucatan. Yucatan, we have other ingredients, very different ingredients in that area. And that area is like the achiote, and it's also rich and delicious. The cochinita pibil is a dish that is coming from this area. They're rich in culture as well, indigenous and pre-Columbian archaeological sites as well, like Tulum that we're saying. So this is just an example of how rich in ingredients and, and food, importance of food we are in Mexico, but just, like a pretty picture there. For the next one. Okay, so you can see a little bit more, some of the indigenous ingredients over there, and just a day in the market, things that you can get, from the zucchini blossoms to anything, chiles and such. Same here, different types of tomatoes and herbs and chiles that you can find in different markets. So this is a view from a market. And the Mexican ingredients, we have too many, like corn, chiles, beans, squashes, avocados, tomatoes, vanilla, cacao, papaya, guava, chirimoya, tobacco, nopales, agaves, edible greens, allspice, amaranth, chia, pineapples, chicle, the bubble gum, and zapotes, for example. These are the prickly pears. But imagine a world without those three things, 4 things. First, corn. Then what about tomatoes? What about Italian food without tomatoes? And what about vanilla? That is the most used flavoring in the world. And cacao. Who doesn't love chocolate? And now we're getting into the nixtamalización. This is a very strange word and very long, but it's coming from the Aztec, the Nahuatl, the indigenous language. And what it means is when you cook the corn, the dry corn, with limestone or also calcium dioxide, and you cook it for several hours, several times, a little bit of time in water, and then turn it off, leave it there. And then later on, after 8 hours or so, you wash it to get rid of the pericarp or the skin of the corn, and you grind it. So you have there in the metate, that volcanical stone over there, you have the corn, and then is the masa, what you see. And with that masa, it's already very nutritious because a chemical reaction happening to it. And you have a different, and Connie can tell you too about it in a little bit, the ingredients that you can create, with that. So you have all those things, and you can make tortillas, tamales, and etc. with that. And this is the most versatile ingredient in Mexican cooking. So you can make chips, you can make tostadas, you can make tamales, you can make gorditas. So a lot of different things that you can make with the same ingredient. Then the Spanish arrived to Mexico, and then they brought a bunch of different ingredients and different things, also ways of cooking. So they brought obviously the cattle, so that's where we get the cheeses and the milk. They brought also oils and lard, and pigs and chicken and goats and stone fruits and rice and wheat, garlic, oat, cinnamon. But one of the most important things that we still have, is the dairy products that they brought with them with the cattle. So milks and goats with, also for that, and all the ingredients that came after that. So we are a country that we eat a lot of vegetables, like, indigenous vegetables, and also the ones brought, combined with, the protein of the milk and the meats. So that is, and we love cheeses in Mexico, I promise you that. So if you have any visit to any market in Mexico that is in Oaxaca, you will see different types of cheeses that we add to anything. Sometimes even just for a garnish, we add a little bit of queso fresco on top. So it's how we get into that. And then, here is a queso fundido that you can easily make with a Gouda cheese or any other. This is what I'm using, for there, that's in my restaurant. And, it's queso Oaxaca with Gouda, a combination that we make to create, balance and the flavor for a queso fundido. And then, as I said, we just grate a little bit of queso fresco on top of different things, guacamole, and this is the gazpacho moreliano from Michoacan. That is a cup of fruit with chiles and different, fruits like pineapple and mangoes and cucumbers And then at the end, we have cheese and a little bit of chili on top, and you eat it like just a fruit and a cup. And of course, you know, we love the dessert. So we use this as a whipped cream with meringue and some strawberries. But you can see also the recipe that you have included in the package today, which is for the tres leches cake. And we use different types of milk for that. And here we have huevos rancheros divorciados. So these are, you know, like fried eggs on top of a tortilla. And then, you know, like really very rich with cream on top, crema mexicana, and a little bit of queso fresco as well.